Welcome to the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, where authors from all walks of life come together to discuss the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of publishing their books. I'm your host, Corey Graham. Join us here every Friday night at 8 p.m. or listen anytime via podcast at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, and PodServe, to name just a few. The Author Roundtable is sponsored by ReaderHouse Online Bookstore, where the independent new authors come first. Rabbit Stew finds his crew. Well, this book is a tale of family, friendship, and self-discovery. It's written by Jade Rutter, and that's what we're talking about. Jade is here with me now at the show. Jade, welcome. I appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm excited to learn all about Rabbit Stew Finds His Crew. So, Jade, what are readers going to be getting into here?
So in Rabbit Stew Finds His Crew, the readers will follow Stew on his journey to find his birth family.
Well, Jade, what sorts of readers did you have in mind for it?
The book is geared towards, I want to say, first to third, but it's a great book for even kindergarten and under.
How did this all come about, Jade? Where'd the idea come from?
The idea came from my own personal DNA discovery that I made in 2021, where I found my birth father.
Wow. So have you done something like this before, or is this kind of a new thing for you?
There was one other book that I wrote called Rabbit Stew, and that is when we discover Stew's adoption story.
So once you got started on this, you were writing it, and then you did the publishing thing. Was this a long journey for you overall?
It wasn't very long to write the books, just publishing it and trying to figure out what kind of illustrations I wanted for the book. I had to come up with the ideas and send it over to the publisher, and they cleaned it all up and they made it really nice. I think they did a great job with the illustrations.
Yeah, they do look great, and that's so important in a book like this. So it sounds like that was a pretty smooth process for you.
Yeah, they did as best as possible to try and make the process as smooth for me as they could. And, even though there was a little bit of bumps in the road, they were able to work those out for me.
Can you think of anything in that publishing process that was especially challenging for you?
I want to say going back and forth through the emails, trying to show them my vision through, emails was pretty difficult when you have an idea for something and, you're not directly speaking with the illustrator and you're not talking back and forth. I would say that was difficult to try and get the vision to come to life, but I like what they did with them.
Yeah, so much time and hard work goes into this, and then finally, one day, it's finally a real thing. You're holding that first copy in your hands. Jade, what sort of a moment is that like for you?
I actually got to open my book with my son, and we both were just in love with it, and I got to read it to him immediately.
So you have books out there for the world, you're published. Jade, what would you say is the most rewarding aspect of everything for you?
I get to minister to kids when I see them at craft shows and stuff where I go and try and market my book. And that's an exciting time. You get to read to them and you get to share a little bit of your story and they get to share theirs, especially when you get to speak to children that have been adopted or are in foster care.
So you have the first book. This is a second book. Do you see this developing into a series?
Between the first two books, Rabbit Stew and Rabbit Stew Finds Its Crew, it's already a kind of a series in its own right. I probably won't be doing any more with this character. I'm not quite sure. I had thoughts about, writing a cookbook, but I'm not sure where that's going to go. But it's just something that I wanted to do within my lifetime, and I'm pretty satisfied with the results.
Well, Jade, a lot of our listeners right now are authors who are just starting out. So would you have maybe anything in the way of advice that you could toss out there for them?
Take it slow. Make sure that you have a publisher that you are comfortable with when you're sending off your book. Don't rush through it. I rushed through it, and that was some costly mistakes with self-publishing that we had to get corrected. So just take your time with it. It's not a race to the end.
And this is so much work. It's such a big deal, and it's hard to do it all by yourself. And it helps often if you maybe have some people around you. They can encourage you and keep you kind of going as you're doing it. Jade, did you have people like that in your life?
Yeah, some of my family members were pretty supportive. My husband, Cody, he was very supportive. My son was cheering me on for it, and through the getting the images back and all the illustrations to see how it would look, we sat down a lot and went over rough drafts together, and he was amazed, and it just made me happy. Now the support that I need looks at marketing, and, my husband allows me to go to different shows to introduce my book to people and try and get the name out there.
Well, what a wonderful book. Again, it's titled Rabbit Stew Finds His Crew. It's written by Jade Rutter, published by Christian Faith Publishing, and available at places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and also traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Jade, it's been really great talking with you tonight. Thanks again for being here on the show with me.
Thank you so much. I was glad to talk to you.
Well, I'm delighted to welcome back to the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, author Lowell Thomas. Lowell, welcome. Thanks for being here again with me.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Your second book is out. It's titled Immigrant's Enigma. So, Lowell, can you tell me all about this and what readers are going to get into here?
Okay. The Enigma immigrant, McDowell, who became an illegal immigrant in the first book, he was forced into participating in illicit activities in his native land of northwestern South America and brought into the U.S. as an illegal at an age where he really didn't know his own identity. The village that he came from was one of a dozen villages of natives in that area of northwestern, what is now Colombia in South America. And Miguel found himself on his own in southwestern U.S., not knowing who he was, what he was. And my second book is about the adventures that he goes through in discovering the answers to his questions.
Well, Lowell, what sort of a target audience, readership, do you think of when you're writing this?
Adults who like to read about a variety of adventures. My books are part of a series that deals with the conflict between good and evil, and represented by a black ring representing evil and a white stone ring representing good. Miguel is on the good side. However, he had adventuresome encounters with the black signet ring that caused distress at various times in his early life.
Lowell, how did the ideas come to you for these stories?
The whole series started many years ago. It has something to do while I was undergoing a experimental cardiology treatment program. So I needed something non-stressful to fill my time, and that's when I started writing the first book. After my cardiology exercise worked, I got involved in a variety of other things and didn't get back to finishing the book until 2024. The first book went on the market at the 1st of June in 2024. The Immigrant's Enigma has just been on the market for the last couple of months.
So how long of a process was this for you, writing it and publishing it and everything?
Well, the first one was a lengthier process because it was a learning process for me. I was not familiar with what was all involved in publishing. I signed a publisher's contract on the first book in November of 2023, and the book made it onto the market end of June in 2024. The second book was already underway when the first book went on the market, and it took a lot less time. The third book, which is currently in the final stages of publication in the cover design phase before it goes to the printer, took a lot less time, and I'm about 10% done with the manuscript of the fourth book in the series. My experience and expectation is that I should be able to complete 2 books a year.
And if an author came up to you and they're about to write and publish their first book and they needed some advice, some help from you, Lowell, what advice could you give them?
Don't be impatient. The learning process is sort of on-the-job learning. It's time-consuming. Don't expect your first book to be published overnight. There are some publication services that say they can help you with your manuscript and you can get active publication in a relatively short time. My experience has been that to do it properly so that you have a good product that is worthy of staying around beyond your own lifetime, you need to be patient and spend the time it takes to get it done right.
This book is titled Immigrant's Enigma. It's written by Lowell Thomas, published by Newman Springs Publishing, and available at places like Amazon and Barnes & Noble and iTunes, also traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Well, Lowell, it's been great talking with you here again and learning all about your work. Thanks again for talking with me tonight.
It's great talking to you.
This is a children's adventure that explores courage, identity, and spiritual purpose. It's the new book by Betty Conover titled Narrow, Warrior Prince. Betty is here with me now at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. We're going to talk all about it. Betty, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, well, thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity to be here.
I'm curious about Narrow, Warrior Prince. Betty, can you tell me all about it?
All right. Well, this is Nairo, Warrior Prince. And anyways, the essence, the summary of the story. Well, let me kind of do that before I jump in, if I can take just a moment, because this will kind of fill in the blanks for why the story. Each one of us, we go through, starting out from the earliest age, and it's universal. And we wonder who we are, why we're here, what's the purpose, why are things like they are. Everyone asks these questions, whether they say it out loud or not. So that takes us to the story. Everyone has to find out. And there is greatness in understanding identity, purpose, and knowing why you're here and what you're supposed to do. But story opens, King Timur has just he's issued a decree, an official order forbidding games, toys, sports, fun social activities, and play altogether, which is always vital for health, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and community cohesion. See, so we play together, work together kind of thing, and it makes the community strong. But this king has decided it's now against the rules. So standing up against the decree, it meant a certain banishment from the island for the entire family, So it's kind of like, you can substitute play for any other kind of freedom that you have. And so as the islanders suffer, everyone's suffering, but no one wants to do anything because they're afraid of retribution. Now here comes Nairo, the main character, and his family. The people are unwilling to stand up, but Nairo has a dream. And in this dream, it is revealed to him what is really going on in the unseen realm. So there is a spiritual battle ensuing, and God has called Nairo for such a time as this. So this is, in essence, about understanding the importance of faith, identity, standing up for what is right, and staying true to oneself, and showing courage when others will not stand with you. So that's, in essence, the story. But there's more to it than that, but that's the heart. The idea comes from the fact that we all have these questions. We go through life trying to figure these things out. And I firmly believe that the sooner the earlier a child can understand who they are, their identity, their purposes, and they are taught in the right ways, that lays the right foundation for their total growth in every way, mental, emotional, social, relational, spiritual. That encompasses everything. So the sooner they know and they are brought up in the right ways, they're laying the right foundation for a healthier adaptation to life, an adjustment to things, and being a healthier person. So seeing that, and I taught middle school for the longest time. So working with them, one day they act like children. The next day, it's like, no, who me? I'm just a little grown for that. It's not like, who's coming to school today? On the childish day, you've been there, I've been there, we've all been there. They'd bring their toys, and just giggle at the silly things. Boys pull the little girl's hair, all that stuff. The next day, it's like, I got that chin put up, shoulders back. It's like, you will address me as, kind of, you see that flip-flop. So the story comes in essence with the fact that we have these questions, you see these things, and we have an identity crisis on our planet today, looking in the United States. It's kind of like look around and see, whoa, whoa, whoa. We've got serious identity crisis issues.
This book is Narrow, Warrior Prince. It's written by Betty Conover, published by Christian Faith Publishing, and available at places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and also traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Betty, it's been great talking with you tonight. Thank you so much again for being here.
Hey, it's been wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate this opportunity.
Author Desmond H. Reid has just released a new book that's an exploration of human identity and divine purpose. It's titled Sociological and Spiritual Connectedness, Core Concepts of Humans in the Mind of a Divine Being. Desmond is right here with me now at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. We'll be talking all about this book. Desmond, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
I thank you, Corey, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm excited to learn about sociological and spiritual connectedness. Desmond, can you tell me what readers are going to be finding here?
The readers will be finding a whole lot in this book here. It's a compelling discussion of the interconnected nature of human existence, blended with sociological insight, with spiritual reflection to offer readers a deeper understanding of their purpose. So the book will unveil a truth that may surprise many. Humans are not alone on this planet. I'm not referring to other species. We are designed to develop our own social norms while simultaneously adding here to spiritual application established by this inconceivable being we call God. So the book will help us to journey through to know who we are naturally and spiritually.
Desmond, what sort of a reading audience did you have in mind? Would you say this is primarily for believers?
It is for believers and non-believers, and particularly a student in Bible college seeking a degree in theology, and just for the average person who needs to know more about his or her identity, a spiritual quest or journey in life, particularly where we're coming from or where we're going.
So I'm curious, Desmond, how'd you get the idea for this? How'd this all come about?
This come about through my own personal journey, observation of people, communities, and church, and just the idea to share what I discover about humanity around me and who I came into contact with. I realized there's a deeper meaning to life, and everybody has their own opportunity to learn who they are, and I feel I can offer some insight.
So have you ever done anything like this before, or is this whole thing kind of new to you?
It is new. It's more like a revelation that I had. From a child, I had a desire to write a book. When or where and what to write about was not imminent at the time. But as I go through my life's journey and being around people of all different cultures and listening to people talk about their religion, quite different from Christianity, I realized that humans have a hunger for spirituality. And based on what I have discovered, I realized I can share some insight.
So once you sat down, you got started writing this, Desmond. Was this a long process overall, the writing part and the publishing part and everything?
Yes. It took me 3 years to complete the book. Probably within about 2 years, I finished write the book, and then I take another year to do the editing to make sure, what I want to say is there. So it's a long process. And April 2025 of this year, the book was officially released by Christian Faith Publisher and is now on the market.
Yeah. So once you started working with your publisher, Christian Faith, what would you say is the most challenging part of that whole end of things for you?
Being new to the whole ordeal, not knowing what to expect. But what I like is that they provide me with a public relation representative that I can always contact for questions and whatever I'm not too sure about. So I find Christian Publishing to be a very, very good organization in helping new writers.
So now that you're published, your work is out there for everyone. Desmond, what do you say is the most rewarding aspect of it all for you?
I'm able to inform others about what I discover in life and to share it in a very multicultural way where people of whatever background could pick out what stands out for them. I'm glad to know that I'm a part of humans thinking and I think like them and can interact with them and understand that there's a deeper meaning to life that each one needs to discover.
Again, this book is titled Sociological and Spiritual Connectedness: Core Concepts of Humans in the Mind of a Divine Being. It's written by Desmond H. Reid, published by Christian Faith Publishing, and available at places like Amazon and Barnes & Noble and iTunes and traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Desmond, it's been great talking with you tonight and learning about your work. Thank you again for being on the show with me.
I thank you, Corey, and have a blessed program.
The book I'm holding right now is a novel of a woman's journey to rescue herself from the brink of losing everything. It's titled Finding Kelly Albright. It's written by Niki Shaheen, and we'll be talking all about this. Niki is here with me now at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. Niki, welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. This is great and exciting.
Well, it's really exciting to have you here, Niki, and I'm excited to learn all about Finding Kelly Albright. Can you tell me what readers are going to get into here?
So, Finding Kelly Albright is about what happens to the life you've built when it starts to feel like a cage instead of a home. Kelly is a woman who's always done the right thing. She's the achiever, the caretaker, the responsible one, the one that sacrifices everything so that everybody around her is happy. But she's lost touch with who she is along the way. And then when things start to fall apart, instead of trying to hold it all together like she always has, she just kind of goes with it and lets this unraveling take her somewhere deeper back to finding who she is.
Niki, what kinds of readers did you have in mind when you were working on it?
When I started writing this book, I didn't expect anybody to read this book. It was really for me. It just kind of was a word vomit with my fingers at the beginning. But in the end, it's for women. It's for women who honestly have kind of struggled with the mother-daughter relationship and how that's manifested into later life.
So at first, you never thought this would actually be a book. I'm just wondering, how did this all come about?
I've always wanted to write something. I always knew I had a story in me, but I just didn't know what it was. And this really came to me in a series of dreams. It started, I had a dream one night about, I went into the bathroom and I came out, and where my glass of wine should have been was a sweating glass of tea. And I woke up and I was like, that's a story. And I just started, sat down at the computer and it just started coming out. And then I got stuck again and I dreamed about the chords that are sort of the climax of the story. And I could actually feel these chords. And I looked back and I realized that these chords, the energetic ties between a mother and a daughter. And I realized all along this story was about mothers and daughters, that it was all there the whole time. I just needed to unfold it.
So you sat down, got started on it, and then you got the manuscript done and did the publishing thing. Was this a long journey overall for you?
Yeah, it was, well, because, this is the first thing that I've ever completed like this. It all came together. So it was about a year. I took it to a girlfriend of mine. We were just kind of talking about, she writes a little bit too. And I was telling her about what I was doing. And it was bare bones, garbage. I said, well, here, see what you think. Think if there's a there. And she came back to me the next day and said, yeah, there's a there. You need to pursue this. And it just kind of snowballed from there. And that was that.
So you got that manuscript all ready and you started working with your publisher, Newman Springs. Niki, what did you find the most challenging part of that whole publishing end of things for you?
It's difficult to give your story to somebody else and entrust them with that, especially something that is so personal as this story. I mean, it's fiction, but it is based on, some personal, emotional things. So that's the hardest part, is releasing it to somebody else and trusting them to take your baby and polish her up nicely.
So looking ahead, have you given thought to maybe doing a sequel of some sorts to this or writing some more?
I am writing another book, but it is a complete departure from this book. I've wrapped Kelly up. That story is a nice bow, so I don't need to go into that anymore. But I am writing a thriller. This is going to take a lot more than a year because I might have bit off more than I can chew.
Well, again, this is titled Finding Kelly Albright. It's written by Niki Shaheen, published by Newman Springs Publishing, and available pretty much everywhere, like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and iTunes, also traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Niki, it's been really great talking with you tonight. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Sitting down with me now here at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, I'm very happy to be speaking with author J.R. Manuel. J.R., welcome to the show. I appreciate you joining me here tonight.
Thank you very much. It's new to me, and I'm like a new author and trying to get everything started.
Yeah, got to congratulate you. Your first book is out there, titled A Harlot Bride. So, J.R., what are readers going to be in store for here?
It's going to be a fun read. I currently have a 4.7 rating on Amazon, and the people give me some pretty good reviews. It keeps going. There's a lot of intrigue and all kind of other stuff to it. So it's supposed to be a fun read, and if you're interested in the teachings and instructions in the Bible, you'll learn something.
I love it. It's a retelling of Rahab's journey, that story in the Bible. What inspired you to retell this?
When I look at the Bible and I listen to people talk about it, they seem to forget that the people are real. So therefore, I give the character Rahab an emotion, and you get a background, and you begin to understand things. Because when you see Rahab, you don't think about, the stuff she has to go through. When you consider Jericho was destroyed, and she had to see everything. Then she goes to the children of Israel, and in ancient history, the captives were let away barefoot and naked, but she gets what's required instead.
J.R., would you say that this is primarily for a believing audience, or is this a broader kind of thing?
It's much broader. Like I said, it's designed to be a fun read, and there's a lot of stuff in there that just is good for anybody. Rahab goes to the children of Israel, and she has no idea, so they're trying to train her to be a wife in Israel, and the guy that was her husband, they're trying to explain to him that, guess what, you were trained to be a husband of a regular wife, but you don't have that, so good luck. So I go through all there. There's even cooking lessons, and I have some strange stuff. I have one of them trying to explain to Rahab the male reproductive cycle. She understands the system. It's the cycle that they're trying to explain to her.
J.R., is this all new for you, or do you have experience in the whole writing and publishing thing here?
Well, this is my first book, so I really have to learn a whole lot about publishing. I'm a retired CPA, so writing isn't exactly the venue we do, but where I used to work at, I used to write all my boss's letters and did all the different things like that.
So once you sat down, you got started on A Harlot Bride. Was this a long journey for you overall, the writing and publishing, everything?
The writing and publishing took me a little over probably 2.5 to 3 years, and the publishing part just about drove me nuts because I didn't understand anything of it. I'm expecting it, in my profession, I'm expecting everything to go exactly right. And, when you get started, you don't know anything. And they tell you stuff and you understand the English, but you still don't understand what it means until after you go through it.
Yeah, once you started on that publishing process with your publisher, Christian Faith, what would you say was the most challenging part of that for you, J.R.?
Just understanding how the book publishing process works. Nothing is quick. Everything goes on a methodical pace, and it's not at your pace because obviously as a brand new author, you want everything done 20 minutes before you do it. But they have a process, and you have to go through the editing. And being from South Louisiana, we had technical problem with the editor because they didn't quite understand proper Cajun English.
So I could only imagine what you were thinking and feeling whenever your first copy came in and you finally got to hold A Harlot Bride in your hands, J.R. What was that like for you?
To be honest, I was already started on the second one, and I'd put that behind me already. I have an odd thing in my books. The last sentence of each book is the title. So the last sentence of A Harlot Bride is A Harlot Bride. The second book, which is getting ready to go to the publisher, is called Death Cheated Itself. And the last book I'm working on is 3 Days Without a Heart. So if anything, I have catchy titles.
So you're a published author now, and your work is out there for everyone. J.R., when you think about that, what's the most rewarding aspect of it all for you?
To me, in my book, I put something like Rahab was going to be on an emotional roller coaster. So come along for the ride, and if you pick up a tidbit that benefits you along the way, the author will be extremely pleased. So if anybody picks up anything in the book that helps them in some way, that would make my day.
What an interesting book. I think readers are going to love this. Again, it's titled A Harlot Bride. It's written by J.R. Manuel, published by Christian Faith Publishing, and available pretty much everywhere. Places like Amazon and Barnes & Noble and iTunes and also traditional brick-and-mortar stores. JR, it's been really great talking with you tonight. Thanks again for coming on the show with me.
Thank you very much.
The new book by JL is an exploration of faith, redemption, and personal transformation. It's titled A Different Kind of Follower. And I get to find out all about this book here tonight. JL is right here with me. JL, welcome to the show. I appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to be talking with you, and I'm excited to find out all about A Different Kind of Follower. So what are readers going to find here?
Oh, it's an amazing book. It's a poetry book. I wrote it. I started really writing poetry a couple of years ago, and I was in a deep spiritual battle and just fighting for my life every day to get through all the crud that the enemy puts on our souls every day. And I just started writing, and this is what I came up with, and I got a lot more after this book. So yeah, it's just about, I'm a recovered addict and alcoholic. Person just trying to just have a good day and a peace of mind.
JL, what sorts of readers do you think this would connect with the most?
People that are stamped with the mental illness and incurable, or the addicts, or the homeless, the poor, the throwaways, and even anybody else, right? Just anybody that struggles every day trying to get their head above water.
JL, what was your inspiration for this? How did this all come about?
Definitely the Holy. I call the Holy Spirit the Holy Light. And it was January of, I think it was last year. And I started fishing around being like, I could publish this. And I was a part of a prayer group where we shared our prayers. And this was a part of that. I would type my prayers and I would share it with the other members in the group. And they started to be like, wow, these are great poems. And so then I was Googling and found Christian Faith Publishing. And January, or the end of December of last year, I sent them my manuscript and they were like, yeah, let's go forward with this. And so, yeah, and I just love writing. I love writing. I got some papers out right now. I love writing. I love writing about the truth and what I've overcome with God.
So that's fantastic. Once you started working with Christian Faith and you started that publishing process, JL, what did you find to be the most challenging aspect of that for you?
Promoting it, right? Like getting out there on social media and pushing it. I've never really been a sales kind of gal, and that's kind of what this is entailing. And being confident, I'm always kind of like with my art, my writings, my art, I was kind of like, I'm just nervous to share that with somebody. It's my heartstrings, right? So just being confident, right? And being like, here's my book, go buy it, So growing into a whole new person, a woman, it has its challenges, right?
So overall, was this a long journey, writing, publishing, the whole thing?
No, it wasn't too bad. It was less than a year. Or it was a little over a year, and I was able to, just approve things and get them through. No, it was not too bad of a process.
And you're a published author. Your work is out there for the whole world, JL. What would you say is the most rewarding aspect of this all for you?
Gosh, just having that, right? Like an artist with their painting on the wall, at a famous art museum, right? Like that's with me and my writing, right? I've been writing since 4th grade about Martin Luther King, and like, this is my art, right? Like, my paintbrush is my pen, and this is my interpretation of life, my perspective, and just to give people a glimpse of how I see the world and see if that helps them, that's so fulfilling.
And there is nothing like seeing that finished product. It was actually a real thing. The first copy came in, you were holding it in your hands for the first time. What was that like for you, JL?
That was cool. I was out of town. I remember I went and threw axes that night. There was a place where I was at a hotel, and you throw axes at a bullseye or a dart, So I went and celebrated that, when I got my first box of free books from the publisher, and it was neat, and that cover that's on there, the creative part of those pieces on that picture of that cover, So yeah, I don't know. It was just so cool.
Well, what an important book. Again, it's titled A Different Kind of Follower. It's written by JL, published by Christian Faith Publishing, and available really everywhere. Places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and iTunes, and traditional brick-and-mortar stores. JL, it's been really wonderful talking with you tonight and learning all about A Different Kind of Follower. Thanks again for being here.
Yes, thank you so much.
Sitting down with me here right now at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, author Kelly Baker. Kelly, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Kelly, I'm excited to learn all about your new book, Panda, the Yak Dog. So can you tell me all about it?
Yeah, we have yaks. We raise yaks on a ranch along with a border collie. And one of our little yaks was abandoned by her mom, and we bottle fed her, and she became part of our family. And her and Sam, the dog, became great friends, and it was just a great inspiration for a children's story.
So this is for children. Kelly, is this for younger children, older children, or maybe all children?
I think it could be used for children for all ages. It has a good story about making friends across the board. A yak typically isn't friends with a dog, and the border collie's job is to herd the yaks. So it's just kind of a good story about making friends with everybody.
Yeah, such an interesting idea. So how did this come about? How'd you get the idea to start out on this?
We raise yaks, and Panda was abandoned by her mom. She didn't look like all the other yaks in the herd, and I brought her up to the house to bottle feed her to keep her alive. And she was lonely, and our border collie Sam was lonely and needed a friend. And since they spent day and night together, they became great friends. And Panda just started acting like a dog.
Kelly, what does your writing background look like? Have you ever done anything like this before, the writing and publishing, everything?
No, this is my very first adventure at publishing a book, writing a book. I was a former elementary school teacher. I taught grades from preschool to fourth grade in special ed. And I worked with a program where I taught parents and coached parents on how to read with their children at home through a storytime setting. And my husband and my kids were a huge inspiration with me writing this story and really pushed me and encouraged me. And so I just set my fears aside and decided to write this story. And here we are today.
So once you started out on this, how long of a journey was this for you, the writing and publishing and everything?
It's taken me a little over a year from start to finish. I homeschool my kiddos. Once I stayed home with them, I started homeschooling. So between homeschooling, working a part-time job, being a full-time mom, it took a little bit longer than expected, but it's been about a year and a half of a journey.
So you wrote the book and then you got started with Newman Springs, your publisher. So what did you find the most challenging part of that publishing process for you?
The hardest part for me was the illustrations. As a school teacher and working in a storytime setting, illustrations have always been really important to me. And trying to get the illustrations just right to my expectations, that was my biggest struggle. But with Newman Springs, I'm happy with what I got.
And Kelly, whenever that first copy was finally in your hands, what kind of a moment was that like for you?
It was a little bit of disbelief. I was a little shocked. I know when the delivery driver showed up with a package at the door, I was not expecting it. And when I opened the box, it kind of took my breath away of, wow, this is really happening. And this really came to fruition. So it was a pretty exciting experience.
Now that you're a published author, Kelly, what would you say is the most rewarding aspect of it all for you?
Facing my fears and knowing that anything is possible. If you just set your mind to it and if you put your fears aside, you can do it no matter what. No matter how busy you are, no matter how crazy life is, it's possible.
Again, this book is Panda the Yak Dog. It's written by Kelly Baker, published by Newman Springs Publishing, and available places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and iTunes, also traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Kelly, it's been great talking with you tonight. Thank you so much again for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it.
Elder Toni McDowell has just written a new book, which is a collection of faith-filled poetry. It's titled, He's My Father. Tony is right here with me now, and we'll be talking all about it. Tony, welcome to the show. I appreciate you being here with me tonight.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the invite.
Tony, what are readers going to get into here when they open up He's My Father?
I believe inspiration, that's what I'm shooting for, hope as well as healing.
And Tony, what sorts of readers did you have in mind when you were working on it?
Well, the believers, those that are born again, those that hadn't quite made their minds up as of yet as to whether they want to follow Christ. So I hope to give them inspiration and give them insight and hope to take that journey as far as following Jesus.
I'm curious how this all came about, Tony. How'd you get the idea to start on it?
Mostly encouragement from my wife. She kind of gave me the inspiration to go forward with it. I've been writing for quite some time and collection of poems over the years. So, inspiration from my wife as well as from God himself, being inspired to write as well as to try to get this book out.
So is this your first published work, or are you experienced in it?
It would be the second one. I did an anthology with several other poets. So we kind of put things together from that perspective, and then I ventured out and did this one on my own.
So once you had your manuscript ready, you started working with your publisher, Christian Faith. Tony, what did you find the most challenging part about that whole publishing end of things?
Pretty much trying to formulate and put the poems, I guess, in some type of order, as well as, which ones I wanted to put in the book. So pretty much that was my thinking of just trying to find some sensible order.
And there's a lot of time and a lot of hard work that goes into publishing a book. So once that first copy finally came in, Tony, and you got to hold it in your hands that first time, what's that moment like for you?
It was a humbling experience. I was, proud as well as humbled by it to see it come into fruition, being the first time, in my family to do something such as this. So it was kind of humbling as well as, it was a proud moment as well. So I was very appreciative of what they did.
So you're a published author, Tony. Your work is out there for the whole world. What's the most rewarding aspect of it all for you?
Well, as I said, a sense of accomplishment, something worthwhile, something hopefully that's lasting through history from one generation to the next that would probably pick up this book and find some hope within it, just wanting to hold on, until, they can be inspired to move forward and healing.
So He Is My Father is your second book. Tony, do you have plans maybe to write some more down the road?
I'm working on some others, yes. Right now, just sitting down, writing, trying to get another collection, hopefully put together and then do another book. I don't have a title for it right now, but it's something certainly I have in mind.
A lot of people who are listening to us right now, Tony, are authors who are just starting out. Do you have something maybe in the way of advice that you could offer to them?
Yes, I would. Just, be true to yourself, right from your heart. Be honest. Your life's experiences, I think, will speak volumes. Whatever it is you have to say, I'm sure somebody out there is probably going through it or has gone through it. And hopefully, your writings can give them encouragement to hold on. As the scripture says, look to the hills from whence cometh your help. All your help cometh from the Lord. So I would say, be honest and sincere from the heart, yes.
So when it came to the cover, it's a beautiful cover, the sky, the doves and everything. Was that a smooth process for you to figure out how you wanted that to look?
Sitting out in my yard, and on a particular day, I just looked up at the sky, and it was a perfect day. Skies were blue, white clouds, and I said, that's what I want for the cover.
I know this book is going to be a blessing to so many readers. Again, it's titled He's My Father. It's written by Elder Tony McDowell, published by Christian Faith Publishing, and available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and iTunes, also right down the street at your local bookshop. Tony, it's been a real blessing talking with you tonight and learning about He's My Father. Thank you so much again for being on the show with me.
Well, I certainly appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me.
The new book by Tedi Tuttle is titled Joseph, based on King Tut, the musical. And I get to find out all about this. The author, Tedi, is right here with me now at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. Tedi, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I can't wait to find out all about Joseph. Can you tell me about this book and what readers are going to be getting into here?
Oh, yes. Everybody should read it because it's amazing. I would say children from 12 on up should read it. It's a lot of fun. King Tut was not very old when he met his fate. And so we have Joseph of Egypt as a married man, and he's out in the desert as a crazy person building a new place, a new kingdom. And it starts out in a museum at King Tut's display. And then by the third chapter, you're already in Egypt long ago with all these people, so they're doing their thing. But I have to tell you, first up, I saw this picture of King Tut on a book that said Joseph, but it was a box that was delivered to my front porch. I saw this over 20 years ago, probably 25 years ago, and I couldn't figure it out. Why would the title would be Joseph, and then there would be a picture of King Tut on the front with his golden mask. So it's taken me several years to figure that out, but I love King Tut. He is the boy pharaoh from Egypt from long ago. And he had perfect teeth, and he liked to eat dates and good things. He loved chariots, and he loved to ride horses. Anyway, it's about a celebration, this whole book. It's about a celebration. I did about 5 years of research on Egypt over in that area before I actually started writing. And I didn't write the novel first. I wrote a musical. So I wrote the musical 20 years ago. We put it on once down in Ogden at Peary's Egyptian Theater, and it was a disaster. And I didn't want to ever do it again. I'm out of school. I don't have kids. I've had 9 children. It's not like I don't have. We could do the thing just ourselves, willing to do that. But they're all raised, and my youngest just graduated from college. So now I'm taking a little time to finish up all the books I'm doing because I have 6 children's books coming out this year. Probably nobody's ever heard of or known about. One received an award back in 2014, and it was sold in India, but I don't think they ever paid me anything for it. But it's a celebration of life, the whole story is, and there's some very detailed things about Egypt and about King Tut and about Joseph of Egypt that are very amazing, but we have it into a storyline it keeps you want to reading. I like to sit and read it again. But the thing that was so amazing this last 6 or 8 months, I actually got to choose somebody to do the audiobook. And my voice talent on that is Reid. And I got to choose from 5 different guys. And it was amazing, the whole thing. It took a lot of time. I had to go through everything word by word. And yes, we did find a couple of errors in our book. But I think the younger crowd will really love it. I grew up with Bible stories. My aunts were my Sunday school teachers, and so they were always telling me about these wonderful Bible heroes, and Joseph of Egypt was one of them, and Abraham. I always thought, what would they be like today? If I could go back in time, what was their lives really like? Because so many of them were just cut and dried. Oh, yeah, so-and-so killed him, and this story's over. And it's not that easy, because I grew up in a very complicated family of half-sisters, and my grandma had the first husband and the second husband, and I had to keep track of all these people. Each of them had about 10 children, and my dad's family, there was 11 in his family. And I think in Egypt, there was a lot of people having a lot of children, and we need to take maybe a lesson from that. But they were complicated. They led complicated lives, having to have so many people fix their meals, for example, for so many people helping out in a palace. I have a dishwasher. I have a dryer, and I have things that can help me. They didn't have those things.
Well, what an interesting book. Again, this is titled Joseph, based on King Tut the musical. It's written by Tedi Tuttle, published by Covenant Books, and available really everywhere. Places like Amazon and Barnes & Noble and iTunes, also traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Tedi, it's been really wonderful talking tonight and learning all about your book. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me today.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, where authors from all walks of life come together to discuss the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of publishing their books. We hope to see you back here every Friday night at 8 p.m. or listen anytime via podcast at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, and PodServe, to name just a few. The Author Roundtable is sponsored by ReaderHouse Online Bookstore, where independent new authors come first.